Summerland Kids. I'm Jericho Wagon. This is Aaron Riggs. This is show number 81. And right now, the weather in Summerland, our old hometown, is currently 58 degrees with a high of 75, mostly sunny. Sounds like another perfect Santa Barbara day, right by the ocean.
Absolutely. I love those
Yeah,
cool mornings.
I know.
We get a
God,
little bit of
it's
cool
just like,
mornings
what the
going
hell,
on
man?
here.
Yeah. So, yeah, just it's I think it's probably the same out here, 58, maybe 60 something right now in terms of temperature. And I think they're actually getting smoke. We're getting smoke from that fire too out here. I saw in the Denver news is talking about it, saying that we're having a little, smoke advisory type thing from that fire out by Chico, because it's pretty massive. And somehow that, I guess it's the jet stream, whatever it is, that the flow pattern happens and comes from California to Colorado and brings that smoke out. So there's that factor.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much wind right now, but
Okay.
definitely when the wind changes, it can definitely blow the smoke. A
Yeah.
lot of different places. I mean, I don't see a lot of smoke per se in the sky, but in the morning at the sunrise, it's, instead of a yellow sun, it's more of a orange or dark red or dark orange or almost red sun.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
so in the east, so there's definitely probably some smoke heading east.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So it's kind of scary. I mean, thankfully we've had I haven't really checked in with any of the elders or anything about asking them, or even online. I should just look online and see what the average rainfall is for Colorado. And I feel like we're on it, like in terms of, I mean, ever since June was a pretty hot month. I guess this week is supposed to be a warm week, but we've had so much rain. I mean, we're talking inches of rain. We probably had, if I had to guess, 9 inches of rain in like a month or something. So it's
Get
like,
some of them summer monsoons going there, it sounds like.
yeah, big time. Like I had a little rode in with my neighbor up to his land, and I could see that the culverts on the side are all blown out, like in the water flow patterns. It makes you prepare for abnormally wet, rainy days in a real short time frame, cause the water to like just start little rivers, going, or little streams, you could say, going down the mountainsides. And so you have to have your a little bit of an irrigation sort of little plan for the water to get out.
Oh
So
yeah, grading and drainage is definitely
yeah,
important.
super
We've been working on that here, with the garden and everything. We're spending a lot of time digging dirt
nice.
and definitely doing some prep work for the winter, as far as making sure that the drainage is kind of cut in, because we get a little bit of rain during the winter months. Definitely,
Yeah,
got to prepare for that. A lot
no, for
different
sure.
over down on the Central Coast and down by Summerland, because when we get rain there, it's like, whoa, what's going on? Everyone's like, no one knows how to drive on the
Yeah.
wet roads or anything.
I know Santa Barbara is like such a, I mean, sometimes it feels like the East Coast, but not that often, I guess. Cause I mean, we're again in that beautiful, I remember in those drought times where it would be like, you couldn't even remember the last time it rained. Like I remember summers in LA where I don't think it rained one time the whole entire summer or something. So
Yeah.
talk about just what is it? The cement, what is it? Concrete jungle, of just the city and that heat, man. It gets a little bit. You definitely like embrace your little cave of sorts in your hopefully brick and mortar building that you're sheltered from the heat. So, anyways,
Definitely want your car AC tuned up, primed up, and
yeah,
charged up, because I've
totally.
especially when you're like stuck in traffic. I mean, when you're going down the
Yeah.
road, it's probably not as bad. You know, you get a little breeze
Yeah.
coming through the window, but when you're stuck in traffic and there's no air moving, and you're on the hot concrete or the hot asphalt and not
Yeah.
moving anywhere without AC, you're doomed.
Yeah.
Doomed.
Doomed. Exactly. Yeah, man. I mean, I think I had a lot of years like that with myself without, I mean, for a good, I could say I did have a car with a good AC unit for a while, but then I kind of went off the grid, and I think I was running without it for a while. But thankfully, during that time, sometimes when you live in the city, you don't need to drive that much. Cross your fingers. I did have a job where I worked only like a block and a half from my house, so that was cool. Like I rode my skateboard to work.
That's cool.
So yeah, so that was chill. It was a really old building. My landlord had got this building and was converting it, or I should say, like just making some changes to be better suited for the new tenants and all that. So we were just doing demolition and clearing and all that. And I was finding stuff from the workers that had stashed shit like 100 years ago in the building because we were tearing down walls and all that stuff. And it was pretty cool to find those artifacts from the early 1900s. I love old shit. Just like you going to the yard sales and finding old stuff, man. It's like definitely like treasures. All that old stuff is treasure.
Yeah, old stuff is cool. I feel like the older I get, the more I associate with older stuff.
Yeah, no, for sure.
All the new stuff, that's fine and dandy, but the old stuff is just cool. They made
Yeah,
stuff a little bit more sturdy back then, a little bit more
yeah,
long-term thinking, quality was
exactly.
had a little bit different meaning. Quality, man, it lasts for a long, long time, where now quality these days might mean features or, style.
Oh, right. Yeah, the way they constructed things and the way that they printed it and the look of it too, it's just amazing, just the look and feel of it all. It has a different it catches your eye right away. Sometimes like a book, for example, it'll be faded or tattered or just have a different feeling. It doesn't have that gloss, a lot of times not glossy appearance. It has a little more of a dull finish to it or a dull look, which I find appealing. And then of course what's inside those books is really amazing. Like going through my grandfather's collection, I'm just finding so much stuff from so long ago with such interesting history. So I'm it's actually like kind of like a little learning process for me. Definitely like seeing all that old paperwork. It makes me want to make prints and some things. Nowadays on online, everything, not everything you see, but a lot of stuff you see, you're going like, is that AI or is that a real photograph from 1924? It's like
Oh,
it's hard to
yeah,
tell.
that's
It's
the
getting
computer is
weird.
definitely getting a lot better at making things, appear or look, uh, real. I mean, I guess
Yeah.
I watch some of the news about laws and Congress, whatnot, and that seems to be a big concern. Are people using computer generated images or AI to, you know, basically put words into people's mouths? And
Right.
how do you control that? Is that going to be a law sometimes where it's like against the law or things like that? And it's kind of interesting to think about it, because I know I've talked about this before, the Donald Trump, Joe Biden AI conversation that I've watched on
Right.
Twitch, and is hilarious. I mean, I guess it's more of a comedy thing, but if
Yeah.
someone wanted to, change it from comedy to something more, more influential, I guess, it wouldn't be that hard. Um, yeah.
Right. No, for sure. It goes back to, I think it was Orson Welles who did the was it War of the Worlds? He did like a radio commentary thing about the aliens are attacking, and people thought it was real, and that was very on point for him to pull something off like that, where it was like since it was just on the radio, you really didn't know. And back then, radio was just so vital. I mean, it was, I guess, pre-television. That's all they had was the radio waves, and I guess the family would huddle around the radio and listen to shows and stuff. Those they do almost like little theater shows too, where I guess it would be almost like the ancient ways of podcasting. Like
that Orson Welles thing is a trip, because it was a radio show and it was people thought it was real. Now that sparked a little thought, because I watched these UFO documentaries or conspiracies or whatever. Yeah. And I guess way back when, I don't know when, there was something going on in Los Angeles where there's like, lights in the sky and it was a mass, people seen it. And it just makes me ponder the universe. I've been watching a little bit of Star Trek and Star Wars stuff lately. So
that's good.
Ponder the idea of, what kind of technology is out there and what kind of technology is going to develop here in the next, couple years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years.
Yeah.
Heck, I guess being 50 years old and looking back on just something like video games and just how much that has gone, and just looking at Star Trek and stuff and going, oh yeah, I remember communicators was just a big, because science fiction, yet everybody's got probably at least one communication device in their pocket where they can literally pull up a video of someone else like we're doing here.
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible. I mean, and the glasses, I haven't looked into it too much, but the glasses, I guess there's a little camera. I'm imagining it's maybe the same exact size as the camera. Well, I'm at least using my phone for this broadcast today. You're on a like an iPad or something like that, or a tablet?
I'm on a little Chromebook.
Oh, Chromebook. Okay, yeah. So, but the fact that they can put a little lens inside your eyeglasses, that's pretty amazing. Because I mean, it's straight up like almost like James Bond stuff. Like back in the day, James Bond would break out a little tiny camera and take pictures of documents. When he's behind enemy lines or in someone's office, secretly in the office, snooping around, or even Get Smart. Was it Maxwell something and Get Smart? Just those classic spy novel stuff. Like we're living in a reality of which all that stuff has come to exist now, and we're trying to navigate through the process of all that. And I think what we see essentially like on the shelf at Walmart or nowadays online. I mean, I like the old days of like Best Buy and Blockbuster Video and all, those days where we used to go to go to the mall or something to see what's up and what's new. I guess nowadays you probably have to go to a trade show, like the Consumer Electronics Trade Show in Vegas or something to see the newest stuff. So
yeah, it's from the backs of magazines, where you could get the spy cam out of the comic book, spy camera, and now it's like literally we'll go shopping and realize, hey, this is less expensive if we order it online. Now you're saving gas. You don't have to go walk around the store. You just click the button and it comes to your house. And it amazes me sometimes. I always tease my girlfriend.
Yeah.
She'll order stuff online and then we'll get stuff delivered. And, sometimes she'll order something in the morning and we'll get a delivery in the afternoon. I'll be like, is this what you ordered today? It's not the same. It's not the same thing she ordered. It's something she ordered a couple days back.
Oh, okay.
A lot of times is she orders one day and it comes the next day. I guess they use warehouses or distribution centers, or sometimes she'll order, like from Walmart. Oh. It seems like if she orders something from Walmart, it's almost always here the next day. And I guess that's a lot of delivery drivers, I go say hi to them, because sometimes I'm out in the yard. I'm like, oh, hey, I always like to greet the mailman.
That's good. Yeah.
But they're like, running their own cars. So I could see how, someone gets up in the morning and goes into the office or Walmart or whatever and gets the items and goes out on delivery that day. So if you ordered it the night before, there's a good chance you'll get it that next day.
I know it's really amazing. You guys may be getting. I wonder where the distribution center is by you guys. Like I was watching an old. There was a bunch of. It was kind of a Clint Eastwood marathon of a bunch of old Western stuff, and there was. I think it may have been Pale Rider. I can't remember, but it mentioned Sacramento as being a major place, like a hub of activity. Back in the day, Sacramento was kind of a big deal. It was
Sacramento's their capital in California.
Yeah, so that was way back when, and I think they had a scene where they show a guy getting a telegram in like a train arriving essentially in Sacramento, and then and it was I think it was gold related. The film had a little bit to do with about gold, and so Sacramento for California, that was a big deal way back when. I'm not, maybe it was the rivers up there. I'm just guessing why they chose that area to be maybe the proximity between Los Angeles and San Francisco, and that essentially like a trade route, and then also the fact that they found gold. Did they do gold tours like an old, like kind of a historical gold tour?
Not anything that I'm aware of. I do follow a couple social media groups where they're local metal detectors or gold finders, and they'll set up little events, to where a bunch of people will get together and kind of have a little get together and focus on finding gold. I used to live when I lived in Placer County. I had a friend of mine that had a boat on the river Delta. So Sacramento River Delta. I don't know if you've ever been on that, but
I haven't.
It's wild, man. So we go out to his little spot and we put the boat in the water, and he's got a little camp set up there with a camper, and he starts taking us around. Grew up on the river Delta his whole life, but there's whole neighborhoods of people that they'll drive their boats into work into Sacramento. So that river Delta's, a network of private property, public property. There was like a little place we stopped for lunch and a couple beers. There was just like a little island out in the middle of the Delta somewhere.
No way.
And you could literally get lost because, it's a vast network of channels and Delta, and
interesting.
I guess the few different rivers come into Sacramento. So definitely back in the day, the rivers were a big form of transportation. I know that's one of the reasons why America, the beautiful country we live in, is so economically solid, is because of the Mississippi River Delta. The Mississippi River kind of connects almost the whole country through these waterways that you could travel on boats. And back before semi trucks, you had boats, cargo boats, barges. Even these days with the cargo ships and the big container ships, a lot of stuff is brought around the world by boats.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I love that story about the Delta, and that's near Sacramento, right? Is that near Sacramento?
I think part of it is directly inside of Sacramento. I know a big part of it is in Sacramento County. But it's you might want to look it up on the Google map one day.
Yeah, no, I should check that out.
It's wild, because we're going into some areas and it's just totally boondocks, no development, just wilderness, wildlife. And then you turn the corner, and you're in a neighborhood where everybody's, you see all these houses up along the shoreline, and they all
on the shore,
yachts and boats right there.
Oh, sweet! Wow, yeah, that's cool. I wonder how in terms of water quality, it's got to be slightly compromised because of all the development. I know they have like restrictions in place and stuff like that, but you know, Los Angeles, for example, has so many tributaries to the LA River, and there's so much cement that I have one friend of mine. I'll introduce you guys at some point. Um, he documents the river when it gets flowing really heavily, and it does get flowing really amazingly fast during those rainstorms that we sometimes get in Los Angeles, where it'll be like, I want to say like 15 feet deep, at least maybe 20 feet deep, and moving like real fast down down toward, I guess, Long Beach area, or somewhat down there, or maybe it's I'm not, I should know where that lets out, but and they've been talking about capturing some of that water and trying to save it, but I imagine they have to like put it through a lot of filtration processes. It's not really quote unquote wastewater, but it does have some waste in it. That's for sure.
Oh yeah,
You
I
know,
mean, you got to figure when it's raining real hard and washing off the streets, all the garbage on the streets gets caught in
yeah,
the gutters and gets washed right
yeah,
on down the river. And
yeah,
you got to figure, it's concrete, so it's not natural soil. I mean, the
yeah,
natural soil absorbs it, and plants, hold the water, and so you got to imagine back in the day it would hold on to some of that water, and where now it's just all washing off the streets, washing down the concrete funnel, and flowing right out.
yeah, yeah. It's crazy. I mean, the old days, they were showing some. I can't what they call that. It's a type of mining where they used to spray water on the cliffs, and it's sort of like they did mention that it was like raping the land, somewhat of basically causing harm to the natural habitat by the way that they were mining. I think it's called strip mining. Um,
I think
yeah.
strip mines when they just take the land off. Um,
Okay.
I know some people that used to do that. I mean, that's basically Orville, the city I'm in here. They would do that hydro mining. They just spray
Okay.
hoses, massive hoses, and just wash down the dirt and all the
Yeah.
sediment from eons old. And
Wow.
they actually they had to move the city back in the day,
Wow.
and they moved it on top and of where they would have been mined as far as
Okay.
the hydro mining. And
Wow.
it's interesting because I'll be driving around and I'll just notice different areas and be like, wow, that's a ton of gravel, that's a ton of river rock, layers 20, 30, 40, 50 feet deep.
Oh.
um, and then if you go over to the east side of the river, um, it's like tailings and tailings everywhere. It's all just these river rocks with no
Huh.
dirt, no sediment, no clay, because they
Trippy.
washed it all down the sluice boxes and kicked all
Wow.
the rocks over to the side. But you drive around town and you'll see these tailing piles that are
Huh.
still there.
And that's probably how long ago do you think that was? Like it was more than 100 years, huh? Do you think it was because late 1800s perhaps? Just
Yeah,
guessing.
I
I
think
don't
late
know.
1800s, early 1900s, and
Okay.
it's
Yeah.
interesting because I went one day, I'm like, oh, where can I, if my son comes and visits, are there spots we can go pan,
Yeah.
just fun for a day trip?
Yeah.
And there was really no information on it. I think that,
Interesting.
I mean, I guess that's one of my conspiracies, kind of like, but maybe it's not a conspiracy. Maybe it's an economic policy. I mean, in the United States and on the North American continent, there is a lot of oil. We have a lot
Okay.
of oil in our reserves, but we're importing a lot of oil,
Mhm.
and I guess that's why the prices are so high. But it makes sense to me to if we have resources, but we can buy resources from somewhere else. Kind of makes sense to buy it now and use what we can get and kind of save our reserves for a time of emergency. I guess I'm not
Yeah.
sure as far as technology goes. I do like to look at some of the sci-fi technology and the
Of
Kepler
course.
scale as far as how advanced is a society. Are we able to utilize all the energy that we have on this one planet or in the solar system or even a galactic level? Watching these Star Trek and Star Wars things, um,
Yeah.
how much technology, how far away are we from warp speed or
Yeah,
from
exactly.
skaters where you can just say, "Oh, make me an ice cream sundae," and the little machine just pulls atoms and constructs atoms into
Oh,
make
right.
right on the little thing,
Yeah.
which
Well,
would
you're
be
all,
kind of cool, I guess.
yeah, we're almost there where it'll be 1 hour or less delivery, kind of like imagining. I mean, people back in the day would have said, like, you can get me a pizza in 30 minutes. That's like, you're crazy. How are you going to make that happen? But nowadays, it's like, there is certain things that are available in that short amount of time. And I think, as you were saying about the people, essentially what I'm thinking is that businessmen are making decisions behind desks and computers instead of um, getting a permit and digging and going after the minerals or the deposits or the oil themselves. They rather just buy it, like you said, from overseas to not deal with it on our, because it has become pretty restricted as far as the processes to, like, some people say drill baby drill, but not everyone is in favor of that. What is it called? Not in my backyard. I think it's the
Yeah,
NIM.
like in Summerland,
Yeah.
all them oil wells that you look at the old pictures, it was like, hey, this is not the place to live. This is the place to work and drill oil. And they kind of shut it down, most of it. I mean, I guess there's
Yeah.
few oil derricks out there in the channel.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, the people are like, nope, I'll just pay the extra money and buy it from wherever. But then we're getting into geopolitical stuff and,
I know.
where's
So
the money going
complicated.
into the whole Russia thing? They got a lot of oil, but
Yeah.
they're sanctioned or whatever. I don't really pay too much
Yeah.
attention going on with my garden and my cats to worry too much about geopolitical stuff.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Handling the home front, the home on the range. I'm definitely a big fan of the Clint Eastwood stuff because, the guy, he's 90 plus years old. He might be 92, but just his string of films. And then I did notice he produced and directed some of them. So you can really see kind of, he was pulling from, um, those old Western stories are so fascinating because it was a simpler time, when it just came down to the homestead and then keeping it going, and then you had these outside forces. And I think sometimes it was in that movie. I think Pale Rider was a greed based scenario when with someone trying to get land because these guys had found a place where they were panning for gold, and they had a little operation going, and they had their claim in Sacramento filed in Sacramento, their claim. And but this other guy wanted to essentially take over that land, and so it was a fight for the land, and all that good stuff. So it's just there's a lot of cool stories in California and California history. And I do feel like a lot of it gets lost because today's it's not really in the dialogue. It's more about now. It's not so much about the history. It's about now or something. So,
Yeah,
anyways,
that is a bit sad to me, because
yeah,
I mean, we look at it and go, "Oh, America, we're only 200 years old." You look at the pyramids of Egypt or ancient Samaria or whatever, and it's like that's 5,000 years ago or whatever. That's however many lifetimes of generationals, and so how do we how do we balance, I guess, the future and the present? You know, I,
yeah,
I definitely think that living in the present is important, but definitely having an eye for the future. Especially if you got kids, you want your kids to have a good life. You want them to
yeah,
have a good way of life in the future.
Yeah, exactly. So it's all about that. I guess the decision making for a prosperous future, but we don't know so much about the leadership, and that's the unknown. The future leadership is the big. Even in our own short little time span we're dealing with right now, our future leadership is in question, and we don't know who's gonna be winning. To some degree, it's a challenge.
Oh,
So
we'll find out soon enough, Kurt.
yeah, exactly. The unfolding comedy reality show that is America. So
Oh, yes.
yeah. Well,
Comedy,
good
drama, reality.
comedy drama reality. Well, good show number 81. We're in 2024. Here, cheers to 2024. We're doing this. Yeah.
Awesome, bud.
All right, man. Have a great
See you
afternoon.
tomorrow.
Sounds good. Awesome. Later, bro.